So today, the potential sports owners in Seattle went to Seattle City Council and said, all right, we will fund the arena ourselves. We don't need public money. So we don't need money from the city, no money from taxpayers. We'll do it ourselves. Okay. And right away now on Hockey Central, they're talking about, is there an expansion team in Seattle in the offing? And, oh, the NHL wants Seattle. This is where I feel kind of miffed. Um, so Quebec does all their homework. Quebec City gets a new arena built specifically for hockey. They put in a bid, and at least for everything you can see publicly, they did the best job they could, and then the Canadian dollar kind of went into a tailspin, and they realized that this time around, it wasn't their turn. The NHL will not go beyond 32 teams. So if Seattle comes in, the Quebec Nordiques are officially done. Now, people are going to say, oh, well, you could move Carolina, you could move whoever. You could. But there have been teams who could have been moved a while ago and weren't. Because the NHL sells this bill of goods that all 30 teams are healthy, all 30 teams are profitable, that all 30 teams are equally healthy. And there are some like Toronto and the Rangers and Montreal and certain teams that make a lot of money, but everybody's doing well. This narrative is tied to the salary cap. When the salary cap came in, Gary Bettman said, and this would have been through the owners, hey, this stabilizes the whole league. Everybody's happy. There is a resistance at the NHL level to moving a team. These guys got moved because there wasn't really a choice. And Winnipeg came in because when Winnipeg went out, I think even the NHL realized it was a dirty deal that stole the Winnipeg Jets and sent them to Phoenix. Now they're Arizona, but they were Phoenix at the time. Now, if the NHL comes out in the next, say, 6 months and says, so in 2 years we're going to go to Seattle, I think Quebec fans would rightfully have a reason to be very upset with the NHL. Yes, Seattle is a major center. Okay, you have a large population, can support, I would think they could support NHL hockey. And yet, that being said, I would rather see a team in Quebec City. Now, I'd like to see both. I'm personally a fan of giving Quebec City an expansion team and sending Carolina to Seattle. And I'm just using Carolina as an example. It's because people say, oh, well, then it'd be 18 to 16 and you'd have too many teams in the East. Yeah, a lot of the teams with financial troubles are in the East. So you can move one of the Eastern teams that's having problems into Seattle. You have a ready-built team that is likely going to be ready to contend sooner. Therefore, your fan base in Seattle has something to cheer for right away. Quebec will sit through losing. Quebec proved that with the Nordiques in the early 90s, late 80s. They will sit through endless losses and support it. And they'll support it with all their hearts. And that's why I love the Quebec City fan base. And in the 80s and early 90s, when you either cheered for Montreal or Quebec, for me, it was never a contest. Playoffs, Quebec. Anytime they were in the playoffs against each other, I was all about the Nordiques. So in terms of will Seattle get an expansion team? Probably. That's what Bettman and the NHL want. It evens things out, 16-16, and it means that Quebec gets nothing unless Carolina moves or Florida. Very, very unlikely with the way Florida's been playing and the fans being where they're at right now. Islanders, Barclay Arena's no good. The problem is, the Islanders admit Barclay Arena's no good, but they're looking further into New York City. And there will be no shortage of takers for New York because New York is such a huge metropolitan center. You could support 4 NHL teams. So in Canada, yeah, there's fans who'd love to see a team in Hamilton. Not going to happen. Second team in Toronto. Not going to happen. Quebec. I don't think it's going to happen either. I think Winnipeg was the bone that was tossed to Canada by the owners and Bettman, and I think Quebec just got froze out. So I figured I would put a video up about that before I get comments. What do you think about Seattle? Seattle will be in the NHL. If they don't get a basketball team, they want a basketball team first. This is about basketball. They want the Sonics back. If they get the Sonics, they may not want the NHL. I guess we'll see.